guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be tackling the Pascal's triangle problem, and just like our previous video, we're going to be brainstorming various solutions and then we're going to code out the best. Now, what is the Pascal's triangle? Well, this is a really interesting pattern problem and it has various solutions, and you might guess, as you can see, I've drawn the Pascal triangle on the screen. So right now you can just pause the video and try to look for a solution. How can we generalize this problem? And what I mean by that is that you can generate these magic numbers like 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, row after row. So the most obvious solution that you can see right now is that we can write the 1 or column 1 here as 11 to the power 0, 11 or column 2, sorry, row 2 as 11 to the power 1, and so on. But as you can see, after the fifth row over here, the pattern sort of breaks. With a little bit of maths and a little bit of factoring, we can actually fit all the columns in the form of 11 to the power n or something, but we won't want this to be that complicated. Now, another simple approach is that if you look right here, these two numbers, 1 and 1, if you add this up, they make this number 2 over here. Similarly, 1 and 2 make 3, and 2 and 1 make 3. And as you can see that this pattern continues. But one problem with this approach is that this requires a lot of space, as we have to store the values before this. So I don't want to be storing the values of a Pascal triangle, I just want to be printing them out. So this approach also isn't like the best solution possible yet. We can think more, right guys? So you might have also noticed that there are spaces in between columns and also before our column 1. So we don't really want to be dealing with that because that's not what we are aiming for in a Pascal's triangle. And with just a few tricks that you can incorporate these spaces in your Pascal's triangle. But for now, our main objective is actually printing out this left aligned Pascal's triangle over here. So let's look for another solution. Well, if you look closely, and we have studied Fibonacci before, and if you calculate the sum diagonally, you'll notice that these are actually Fibonacci numbers. So, sorry, not 0. This is 1, 1, 2, 3. There goes 5. But with these methods too, we also need to store the numbers somewhere. So this is not the solution that we are looking for. Now, I want you to remember this little formula over here, and some of you may recognize this as from combinations that you studied in maths, is that NCR is equal to n minus r n factorial by n minus r factorial by r factorial. Now, why are we talking about this? And this r is actually lies between 0 and n. So why are we talking about this is that if let's take any number in this, for example, this number over here can be written as 1C1. Now why did I choose exactly 1 and 1 for R is that if you notice the number before that, this can be written as 1C0, and you can also actually calculate from the formula that both of these will return in 1. Now if I choose this row over here, then the consecutive columns can be written as 2C0, 2C1, 2C2. And we'll get all of these numbers from just this right over here. So there we go. We found a generalizing pattern. Now I'm going to refactor this formula a little bit, and instead of NCR, I'm going to write row C and column. And you already know the formula for this, but let me just write this too. Excuse my bad handwriting. Now, there we go. So we wrote this in terms of 2C0, 2C1, and 2C2. So here 2 stands for our row. So if this stands for a row, then our rows automatically start from 0. And 0 stands for our columns, so our columns also start from 0. So now we found a pattern. Let's see what the pseudocode for this will look like. So we're obviously going to have to use nested loops, and the outer loop will be for row is equal to 0, and it's going to be less than total rows. And why do I say that is because our rows are actually starting from 0, right? So if we have total number of rows is equal to 6, so our row should actually end at 5, as you can see right here. So that we have the inner outer loop completed, let's talk about the inner loop, which will run from for column is equal to 0, as we saw, and this column should be less than equal to our row, because as you can see this has to run at least one time, and if we kept this less than row, then our first row and first column over here won't run, because it won't get inside the inner loop. But once we are inside an inner loop, we have to write another loop, and that loop will be for calculating the factorial. So I'm just going to write factorial over here, and we have to calculate the factorial 3 times, so 3 loops. Now you can imagine that would be a pretty slow solution. So is there another way without using that? Well, yes, we're going to be using a little bit of maths. So it turns out that we can actually calculate this number or the next column by just looking at this previous column, and this stands true for every row. Like if we wanted to calculate this value over here, all we have to know is this value. And for this value, all we know is this value. And this value, as we know, will always be 1, as the column 0 is always equal to 1. So now we're going to be talking about how we drew our previous conclusion and what possibly could the formula for that look like. So we're going to be reverting back to our original notations, which are n and r. And as you already know, the formula for NCR is this. Now, if I substitute r for r plus 1, which will be our next row, then this would be the formula for this. And all I'm doing is replacing r with r plus 1. Now, if you divide both of these equations and you know a little basic about factorials, then you will actually can simplify this entire thing to this equation over here. And if we convert what we just saw into pseudocode, then what happens is that this becomes the next column is equal to the previous column value into this formula over here, and n is replaced with row and r is replaced with column. So now that we have our formula, when we enter our nested loop over here, then we don't actually have to enter another loop and go over this 3 times. Instead, we're just going to be performing some simple multiplication division, and that actually is not time consuming. So I wrote a little code for this. So just like we discussed, these are the limits of the outer loop and these are the limits for the inner loop. Now at the beginning of every row, I'm going to be initializing C with 1. As we know, the first column is always 1, and then we simply print that. Then we update our value of C, which is the previous C, into our formula over here. And this is our new C. And then we do a quick new line. Now, if we see the output of this, let's calculate till 6 rows. Well, there you go. We got our left aligned Pascal's triangle. So I hope you guys understood how important maths is, because maths just saved us a ton of calculation. And you can see if I wanted to print larger numbers, like say 20 for example, well then we actually reach the limit of our integer, and replace this int with long int and you can get much larger triangles. Now as an exercise, you can try printing out the original Pascal's triangle, which is spaces before these ones. So keep practicing and thank you.